Hello, friends. I hope you enjoyed that Kleiber as much as you enjoyed Kleiber last year when we met and spoke about leadership and about conducting and about your own work. Kleiber is great. The process, you remember. I remember the description of Kleiber creating a wave and then surfing that same wave. Beautiful. But I'm a student of Bernstein, who, you might remember, had this complementary idea of creating a dialogue about meaning. Now, how do you create a dialogue when you have to speak into your iPhone camera? That's, well, a little bit of out of my comfort zone. But still, I think about our meeting and I see this beautiful room and your faces, of course, and I say to myself, there's enough trust for me to try. So I'll try. And what I want to speak about is my own ignorance in our meeting. Ignorance about what? Didn't I know what I wanted to show you? I knew. My ignorance was about what you might understand from what I show you. You know, if I had some kind of knowledge that I wanted to transmit to you, and I would be very successful, you would all know the same thing at the end, which is, of course, stupid. What I am happy to know that has happened, at least with some of you, is that I put on something in front of you, which was new to some of you, or at least the perspective on it was new. And then something happened in your heads which I could not even start to guess. And that's my ignorance. My ignorance is about where you take your learning. That makes me an ignorant teacher. In fact, this idea of ignorance is so important to me that I wrote a book which will be published early next year by Penguin Random House, and it is called The Ignorant Maestro. It's the idea that the right kind of teaching has to do with disassociating yourself from your knowledge and being able to accompany somebody else on their own process of learning. How do you do that? How did we do it? We put on something to watch together. And then there was a discussion. There was enough trust in the room to start a discussion in which you spoke from your own multiple points of view, and I had my point of view, and we didn't try to erase that difference. We didn't try to eliminate the gap between different languages, different people. What we tried to do, and I think we succeeded, was to listen. Listen in a certain way. You know, I once heard from a friend, he said, I don't want to be a keynote speaker anymore. What I really want to be is to be a keynote listener. Keynote listener. Is that another funny contradiction? Yes and no. Because keynote is about leading people somewhere. And of course you can lead them in the old way, like you can teach them in the old way. Just tell them what they have to know. Tell them where they have to go. Or you can just listen to them in a way that makes them speak differently. By themselves, find out new potentials in their own ideas, and with others, help them listen to the others. That's keynote listening. So these are my 3 advices to you. The first is, when you teach, become ignorant. The second is, develop a liking for gaps. Whenever you see a gap, don't try to close it. Try to exploit it. This is a huge renewable source of energy. And the third one, become a keynote listener. Rather than telling people, listen to them in a way that will allow them to find the way. My favorite, story about ignorance is about Leonard Bernstein's father, Sam. Sam was a merchant, and he wanted his son to be, to have a respectable profession, not just a musician, a klezmer. And in later years, people came to him and said, Sam, how could you resist to Leonard Bernstein becoming a musician? And Sam said, but how could I know he was Lenny Bernstein? How could I know? And of course, it's funny, but he couldn't know. How could you know about your students? How could you know about your daughters? How could you know about yourself? Exercise ignorance. And give up the guilt that is associated with not knowing. Thank you all. Enjoy your day.